So first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the January meetings, both January 14th and 28th. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Catelli?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes. Next on the agenda is a special proclamation. You want to do in the, I think in the hallway.
During the hallway.
Yeah. Want to let them know?
Sure. And you can sit here if you'd like.
Thanks.
Front and center.
Everybody.
Yeah, it was great walking down. They did a good job.
Cheerleaders? Give me an H.
Hi guys, come on in. Come on in.
Are we sitting?
So, you have everybody up front? Okay, so I'm going to read the proclamation, and I think I got almost everybody's last name correct. If I make a mistake, you can help me out. So, so the proclamation reads, whereas the Homedale Hornets D14 cheer squad had a successful season cheering at the Homedale Football Association games, whereas the team dedicated many hours training between August and early February for cheer competitions, and whereas the dedication of the team was rewarded with winning 4 first place titles at the D14 Level 2 competitions, and whereas the team earned the titles of first place champions at the 2019 Jersey Shore American Youth Cheer, the 2019 Big East AYC competition, the 2019 National AYC competition, and the 2020 Global YCADA competition. Whereas the success enjoyed by the Homedale Hornets Division 14 competitive cheer squad is due in part to dedication of coaches Kara Masucci, Jen Baker, and Dora Hancock. Now, therefore be resolved by the Mayor and Township Committee of the Township of Homedale on this 27th day of February 2020, that congratulations be extended to the following for personally and officially on behalf of the residents and of the community for their outstanding achievements: Evelyn Adams, Paige Baker, Katie Bauer, Ava Churchio, Sophia Contreras, Sophia DeSarno, Sophia Dietz, Megan Flannery, Rebecca Hancock, Juliana Kennedy, Anna Coachley, Julia Coachley, Maya Lund, Tatum Lynch, Mia Marino, Isabella Pasucci, Grace Mendini, Crystal Mulvey, Ava Pescatore, Angie Petriello, Ali Scartino, and Noel Stanziel. Be it further resolved that a suitably engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to the team as a small token of the esteem in which they are held, and therefore be resolved that all the best wishes be extended to all for continued success in all their endeavors. Signed by the Mayor and the Township Committee. Congratulations, girls.
Come on, let's get over this.
You don't even have to tell
I'm going to go behind you guys. Take a picture.
Welcome, everyone. What are you going to do? 2 seconds. How many?
Get down more. There's people behind you.
I don't know like you.
That's fine.
We want to look at it. Look at it there. It's going to come on down. Yeah. But I don't over easy now. Did you have your home there? That's nice. We should go there, yes.
I'll give you a minute. If you want to stay, you want to stay. If not, you're welcome to keep walking.
Just be very loud.
So the next part of the agenda. Next part. Can you hear me okay? Okay. The next part of the agenda. Okay. Give it a second. The next part of the agenda are the approval of the consent agenda items. Before we approve the consent agenda items, we are allowing any public comment or questions on the consent agenda items. So if there's any public questions or comments only on the consent agenda items, you can come up now. Come on, Joe. You have to hold it, so it's
Joe Crowley, 15 Ely Road. Regarding the change order for field turf for Phillips Park. One of the HYA baseball commissioners, we appreciate the support we've had from the town committee in the past, and we urge your support for this on a going forward basis, so this project can be completed in a timely fashion. And we want to extend our thanks also to Sharon for the hard work that she's put in and the rest of the members of the administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public on any of the consent agenda items? Seeing none, I'll close public portion of consent agenda items. So I have a motion on the consent agenda items.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Or have an explanation, it's just like,
We had a good,
Mayor, if you could
okay.
explain the turf change order or have Sharon do it, please.
Do you want to do it before we take vote?
Yeah, before we take a vote.
Just for everyone's clarification, this is the second change order we've had on this project. Well, quite disappointed, quite honestly, with field turf. They knew this change order was coming down the pike since at least December, and we didn't know about it until late last week. The change order is in relation to necessary changes for freehold conservation soil, and in order to get our permit to do this project. For those that weren't here, like me, when this project started, we had everybody out on the field ready to go and begin construction, and there was some miscommunication about who would obtain the permit from freehold soil. So we had to go back to the drawing board and redo the engineering for the project, which took quite some time. And then freehold soil took quite some time to review, and we had to make changes. And this change order is as a result of those changes. The project, we were all under the belief that it was beginning any day now, and it wasn't until very late last week that we received this change order from Field Turf. We did, and our staff was wonderful. We went back and forth with them to make sure that it was an appropriate change order. We actually got them to take some money off of what they had originally requested with the help of our engineers. And so the additional cost to the township is of $54,592, and that is inclusive of the $45,700, that's in addition to the $45,748 change order that was approved around September or October. So we are very anxious, the Township Committee is very anxious to get this project up and going. We're excited. If it gets approved tonight, we expect to have construction starting next week. I'm happy to answer any questions the members might have.
So do we need roll call again? Or motion, Wendy?
We have the motion.
I think we have
a motion on this.
Okay, so roll call.
Mr. Catali?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes. Thank you. Next on the agenda is Firehouse approving professional service proposals for Township Engineer and Township Architect regarding proposed firehouse at the Township's Municipal Complex.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Catali?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes. Next is introduction of ordinances. Wendy? Oh, actually, Andy, you want to cover these? I think they're all you, right?
Good evening, Mayor and Committee.
No,
it's fine. So, what you have on your agenda tonight, I'm looking at Andy Bayer, I'm your Affordable Housing Counsel, your Special Counsel handling affordable housing matters. And what you have on your agenda tonight are 3 ordinances, and by way of very brief background, in 2015, the township went before the Superior Court as a result of the New Jersey Supreme Court decision requiring municipalities to do that, who were looking to develop third-round affordable housing plans and to protect your municipality from builders' remedy litigation. The township here in Homedale entered into a number of settlement agreements with Fair Share Housing Center. The last one being, it was an amendment to the first amended settlement agreement, and that was approved in December of last year. So the process by which these settlement agreements are reviewed by the court, we had what's called a fairness hearing before Judge Grasso Jones in January of this year, end of January 30th, and the judge approved this amendment to the first amended settlement agreement. But that approval is subject to recommendations by the court master, who's a planner who the court has appointed to assist her in reviewing the affordable housing plan and make sure it's consistent with law and regulation. So what you have on tonight are 3 ordinances, and the court approval is that we got or obtained is subject to the committee taking action on these ordinances and some other resolutions which will come in a month, and when we have a public hearing on these ordinances. One of them is what I've called an affordable housing ordinance, and all this does is incorporate state law and state regulation concerning the sale and rental of affordable housing units into your township code. So it allows us to to enforce at a local level if need be. You have a rezoning of property that we've called in our affordable housing plan the Middle Road site, which is a 100% affordable housing project. And that this ordinance has been written and reviewed by the township planner, as well as the township engineer's office has been involved as well. So what you have before you is a draft that has been approved by the professional consultants, and this would allow that project to proceed if adopted. They'd have to go before the planning board with an application, but ultimately this is the zoning that would allow for it. And the last ordinance is what is a development fee ordinance. You've had a development fee ordinance in Homedale for many, many, many years, and it's money that but the court had requested that we update it to make it consistent with current law, so it doesn't change the fee amount. It just changed. There were a lot of references to COA in your ordinance because it goes back to the 90s. COA no longer exists or functions, so there's references to the Superior Court in this ordinance in lieu of COA, but the fee remains 1.5% on residential development. So if there's an approval for a residential unit without affordable housing, they pay a fee of 1.5% of equalized assessed value that goes into an affordable housing trust fund that you have here, that you have utilized for affordable housing purposes as required by law. And it's 2.5% on non-residential development, and that's state law, whether it's required as well. So if there's new commercial development, 2.5% gets paid into the trust fund of equalized assessment. So those are the three matters. And then next month, there'll be a number of other what I'll call affordable housing resolutions. You'll have a spending plan, which is the plan and how you approve your trust fund money. Again, as required by the court. You're going to have an affirmative marketing plan, which is how affordable housing units need to be marketed, whether they're for sale or rental, again, required by state law to be, and you'll have a municipal housing liaison, which I think you actually have already. You do. So those will come before you at the same time, so when you have your public hearing on these ordinances, we would hopefully complete all requirements that the court has imposed. And we have a hearing towards the end of April. And at that time, if we meet all the requirements of the court's order, then we will have a judgment of repose and compliance protecting Homedale Township from builder's remedy litigation through 2025, which was the purpose of the township engaging in this to begin with. This way the township controlled where and how you met your affordable housing obligation without the threat or of a builder who just comes in and sued us to do that.
So Councilor, quick question. So why this is on the agenda tonight is basically to adhere to the court's imposed timeline for having this approved?
Correct.
And then you're going to go back in front of the judge with the approved ordinances and plans, so we would be in compliance with the
Correct.
plan.
Yes, it's really a requirement of the court to get that judgment of repose, and we're trying to, obviously, we're under the lawsuit's been pending since 2015, we're now in 2020, so the court is quite eager to get it off its docket, to say the least. So yeah, that's exactly right.
Any other questions for council? From the TC? Okay.
Introduction of Ordinance 2020-06 is amending Chapter 30 Development Regulations of the Code of the Township of Homedale by creating a new Section 30-135A entitled AF-MF2 Affordable Housing Multifamily Zone 2. Motion to adopt on first reading, published in the Asbury Park Press, and set public hearing for Tuesday, March 24th, 2020.
And I'll just note, we just had a dialogue off here during Andy's presentation. The agenda lists the ordinances for public hearing on March 10th, but that is going to be advertised and held on March 24th, so that there's going to be a full month, so that some things that have to occur in the interim can occur. So if anyone wishes to make a public comment on this ordinance, the opportunity will be on March 24th. And that's for all three of these ordinances.
We have a motion.
Motion. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Catali?
Not participating in any affordable housing over the last several years, I'm going to recuse myself.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
Next ordinance is ordinance 2020-07. It's an ordinance of the Township of Homedale amending the general code of the Township of Homedale, deleting Chapter 14, Sections 14-1 through 14-29A, and replacing it entirely with the new section entitled Affordable Housing to address the requirements of the Fair Housing Act and the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls regarding compliance with the Township's third round affordable housing obligations. Motion to adopt on first reading, publish in the Asbury Park Press, and set public hearing for Tuesday, March 24th, 2020.
Motion. We have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Catali?
Recuse.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes.
The next ordinance is ordinance 2020-08, amending Chapter 14, Article 2, entitled Development Fee Provision, repealing and placing sections 14-30 to 14-39 to a new section entitled Development Fees. Motion to adopt on first reading, publish in the Asbury Park Press, and set public hearing for Tuesday, March 24th, 2020.
Have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Catali? Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes. Next is hearing on
Hmm? The next ordinance is for hearing on ordinances for ordinance 2020-05 concerning checks returned for insufficient funds.
So we will now have a public hearing on this ordinance 2020-05 concerning return of insufficient funds. Do we have any comments, questions from the public?
Make one comment, Mayor?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's important. This ordinance does give the tax collector and the chief financial officer the ability to refuse checks from people that consistently bounce them on us. But few and far between, but usually it's the same people time after time.
Anything from the public? None being seen. I'll close public portion. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Catali?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Mayor Bontempo?
Yes. So we'll go through departments. How about I'll start with our CFO.
No additional comment?
Good. From the, so I'll ask the administrator next, but I know you've been involved in a lot of things. Would you mind touching on the dog park in your update tonight?
Sure. I'd be happy to. I'll start with the dog park. I'm happy to relate to the Township Committee and all of the residents that we've been working with a family in town who unfortunately lost their son due to cancer December of 2018. And he really had an affinity for dogs. And so they reached out to the township to ask if we would consider placing a dog park in one of our parks in his memory. And they've raised a significant amount of money to do so. So after analyzing all of our parks and discussing with the Township Committee, we're moving forward with looking at placing the dog park at Bayonet Farms. We think it's an ideal location. There's access to water, there's parking, it's open space. Quite honestly, a lot of people bring their dogs there already. And it's not near any residential property. So we're happy to be working with the family and moving forward with plans for that, and that should be coming up in the very near future. And like I said, they've raised a significant amount of money already, and we're going to be working with them to apply for a grant to possibly get up to $25,000 additional money to go toward that. So we're really excited about that. I also wanted to touch on our police department participated in a program called Growth Through Opportunity, which was spearheaded by the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. And it was a program for adults of all ages who had various disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, and cerebral palsy. We had a cadet, as they called them, named Travis White, who joined the township for a number of weeks. And anybody who has met Travis, he just puts a smile on your face. He was wonderful, and we were very happy to have him. And on February 13th, there was a ceremony, a closing ceremony. This was the first time that this program was implemented, and there were, I think, 6 other towns throughout the county, and there was a ceremony for all of the cadets. So we'll miss Travis, but the whole idea of the program is to give work and life skills for them to move on. So it was a really touching program, and really great to have him here. With the firehouse, I just wanted to update everyone. The Township Committee passed 2 resolutions tonight to award professional services contracts to do next steps on the firehouse. Our first next step will be to have a survey to figure out specifically what land is leased by the post office, and our township engineers are geared up and ready to do that right away, so we keep that project moving. And the other thing I just wanted to give a heads up to everyone, we will be starting our inspections every 5 to 8 years. Every house in the township is required by the state to be inspected. It's not an assessment on your home. We break it up into 3-year periods. We have a company, Realty Data Services, RDS, yeah. And they will be going out to a specific section of town. We will post the region that they'll go to this year. It will be online. We will also be sending it by email and every other way we can get the message out. They'll be starting at sometime in March. We will also be mailing out to the property owners. Again, it's not an assessment on your home. They just collect data and provide it to us. So that should be up and going. They will be they'll wear like bright yellow vest or a bright colored vest, and they'll have an identification, so you'll know that they're with the town. And there's numbers if anyone has any questions, or there will be numbers on all of the announcements.
Good, thank you. Attorney, any update?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the committee, and members of the public. Just one item, which is kind of a recurring topic of mine during this report, the New Jersey natural gas litigation. As many members of the public may be aware, there was a public hearing last week before the Office of Administrative Law judge, who heard testimony from residents about the application that New Jersey Natural Gas has filed at the Board of Public Utilities, which the township has been actively opposing. I would note that on this evening's agenda, the committee voted to approve the award of contracts to 2 parties who will be serving potentially as experts in that litigation. And so that action was taken tonight by the committee. I won't have any further comments since it's active litigation, and the committee would otherwise be discussing this matter in executive session, but I do want to provide that update to the extent we can for the public's benefit. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. From engineer, any additional updates?
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll do boards and committees. Can I start to my left with the deputy mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The planning board met last week, and they did a re-examination of the master plan last December with respect to the affordable housing criteria, as that was required by law, but they did not do a comprehensive review of it. So while we technically met the legal requirement, they're looking to do a little more comprehensive review of that master plan and engage comments from the planning board members, from the township committee. They're going to then review a draft of that at the next meeting on March 3rd, and then hold a public hearing for additional comments and review on our re-examination of our master plan. It's not a whole new master plan, it's just re-examining the plan we have. and making sure that it still meets our needs and addresses the concerns we have going forward for the next 10 years. So that's in the works from the planning board perspective.
Yep, just a quickie. In regards to public safety, as always, I want to thank our firemen, police, and first aiders who work for us every day. Thank you. One important thing, they're having a knockout opioid abuse town hall meeting at Raritan High School on March 25th between 7 and 9. We did something like this years ago when I was on the Board of Education. They will have medical experts, psychological experts, law enforcement experts, social workers. They will even have a child's room set up with the warning signs of drug abuse. Sounds like it's a good program. If you have questions or concerns, I recommend that you go to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Santana?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just wanted to let you all know that we received a lot of applications for the Finance Committee. The cutoff is this Friday. I'll be reviewing them and sharing it with the committee, and then we'll announce who we appoint to the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Councilman Curtelli?
Sharon gave my report. Phillips Park construction starts Monday.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, any additional updates?
Yes, I have several other updates. First of all, I want to say that we also have had a fabulous response to the Traffic and Bike Safety Committee, known as TABS, and I will also be reviewing applications and making recommendations to the Township Committee so we can get that launched shortly. I just wanted to share with the public that I have attended several training sessions last week. The first was Municipal Elected Officials Workshop with Mr. Santana. We covered the Open Public Records Act, the Monmouth County Improvement Authority, shared services, and cybersecurity infrastructure. In addition, I then spent my Saturday back at Mercer County Community College in a full-day workshop on budgeting for elected officials put on by the New Jersey League of Municipalities. And I'm looking forward to working with our Township Administrator, CFO, and my fellow committeemen to provide a transparent and open budgeting process in hopefully a language that the public can understand as opposed to the state Greek that the budget is usually in. So that was very helpful. And I just want to add one thing because this is my thing. Swim Club registration opens on March 2nd. I'll be there. I hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anything else? Good, thank you. So I just have a couple quick updates. Through a program, Habitat for Humanity in Monmouth County, I believe we have some information posted on our website, but I just want to reiterate that they have a program that they're offering in Monmouth County through our Rams and Rails program, where they're able to construct handicapped accessible ramps for low and moderate income families who are in need. There's additional funding that they have for this year. They want us to communicate out to the community, so if there are people that have information, they can reach out to me directly or to the Township Administrator. We can put them in touch with the people from Habitat for Humanity for this program. Secondly, over the past weekend, we had the Rec Department ran two very successful events. There was a father-daughter dance on Saturday night, and on Sunday afternoon there was a mother-son dance. Between both events, probably close to 500 attended. It was a really great turnout. I just want to recognize the hard work that our Rec Department put in. There were three of them there the entire weekend, which was Lori, Allison, and Bob. They ran a great job. Feedback from the families that were there was very positive, so I just wanted to publicly thank them for their work and effort on that program and many other programs that they run for our community. That being said, are there any additional business from the committee that we would like to discuss?
I have one more.
Okay.
Just one more. I just want to add my thanks to CME and to Ben and to Sharon for their very quick turnaround on re-examining the field turf issues. And I just want to share with the public that part of the reason this problem arose is that this project was not really done in what I consider to be the thorough and proper process. It was bid through the state contract, bidding, which means it wasn't put out to bid at all, and there was no engineering review. And had we done that, we might have had a heads up on this sooner and been able to address it quicker. So going forward, I hope we'll follow a more thorough process and procedure with our projects, and also be able to keep them in budget, because anyone who's watching certainly knows what's happened with the stock market this week, and I think we're going to be in a very different financial circumstance going forward. I hope I'm wrong, but indicators are that we're going to be facing some headwinds and really need to tighten our belt and stay on top of things. Thank you.
So you reminded me of one more update. The hospital system has shared with me that they have a conference call scheduled for Monday afternoon. I'll be participating in what they're doing in preparation for the coronavirus outbreak. Although there have been no cases that I'm aware of here, the hospital, which is in our backyard in our town, is putting precautionary measures in place in case they have to start dealing with it. So it's an important topic right now that's certainly impacting the financial markets in here and around the world. But the hospital system is proactively taking measures, and they're bringing in some specialists that are created a task force that is specifically looking at this and how they're going to be dealing with cases that they start interacting with, and they're training their staff in order to look for symptoms if people are entering the hospital that may potentially have it. I'll provide more updates as I get them on future meetings. With that,
Mayor, I have one.
Okay.
So I just want to mention that I did an assessment of our cyber infrastructure. Spent a lot of time with our IT person, Jason Week, and we passed the assessment, which means that he's done a phenomenal job putting all the necessary mitigating controls to prevent a cyber attack. We also, going forward, will be looking into using a third party to potentially do penetration testing, which is what ethical hackers do, hack into an environment, try to see if they can gain access. We'll be doing that as well going forward, hopefully, to prevent any vulnerabilities that may exist. Thank you.
Okay. We're open to the public. Are there any other committee? We're good?
I see the fathers in the back hovering over something. How did the basketball team do tonight?
They're down 2 in about 5 seconds now.
Hey, chance. Thank you.
Yeah, we're not being disrespectful.
I thought you were watching us, though, because we're live now.
Right.
So I'll open up for public comment. Members of the public are invited to provide comments up to 3 minutes in duration. Commenters are asked to state his or her full name and address for the record before entering the comments. Anybody for public comment? Scott?
Scott Goldstein, 24 East Lawn Drive, Homedale. Kudos on making progress with the firehouse. That's great to hear we're making progress there. I'd also like to give additional compliments in hiring an expert witness to support the New Jersey gas regulator fight that we've been at for many, many years. I think that's great. It's long overdue. I'm very excited about that support for the community. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's good. We'll take it.
Yeah. Anybody else in public? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Wes Fagan, 50 Chestnut Ridge Road. First, my wife and I want to thank the committee for your time served in Homedale. We're 27-year residents here. I'm sure it takes a lot more time than you might have anticipated and that the public can really appreciate. So we thank you. There was an article in the press, Homedale officials want funds returned. And that's what I'd like to comment about.
Can you either hold the mic or speak into, because it's not picking
How
you
about
up.
this? Okay. Not better?
You can hold it, you can
probably
probably.
hold it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I'd like to comment on the inquiry into Committeeman Fratelli's 2011 storm-related damage to his home. As the crow flies, there is one home between ours. We are neighbors. The way I recall and characterize Hurricane Irene is as a rain event. A significant rain for these parts is about 1 inch. I went back and revisited the statistics from this storm, and it cited 9 inches of rain for sections of New Jersey. Personally, on my property, we lost apple trees whose roots were pulled from the ground. Our normally dry sump pump, which has not activated the entire 2019, was filled to the absolute top of the pit during the power outage that followed the storm. Committeeman Critelli's home is situated at an elbow bend of a stream that drains down from the Art Center. At his property, it makes a sharp left turn and enters a culvert. Then 1,000 feet downstream, it reemerges from a pipe next to my house. In my view, there were two Achilles' heel in regard to the water versus his property. The first was the less than desirable engineering of the culvert entrance. It was susceptible to clogging by branches, leaves, tires, and plastic bags. Secondly, when the pipe clogged, in the path of least resistance was his house. When we got up the next morning and surveyed the neighborhood damage, it was clear that his home took one of the worst hits in the neighborhood. I clearly remember the grass on his lawn being scoured and completely and permanently flattened as a result of the obvious violent water flow. And that was both in his front yard and his backyard. Homeowners in similar predicament were quoted as saying, "We were afraid that the home would come off the foundation." Downstream, the water inundated the intersections of Chestnut Ridge, Hayward Hills, and Telegraph Hill, making them impassable. The storm sewers were clogged so that the water had to flow over the curbs to re-enter the streams. The damage to Tom and Mary's home was obvious, it was substantial, it was extensive. The dollar values discussed in the news articles seemed low in relation to the damage that I witnessed. Finally, I don't see the prudence in using taxpayer funds for attorneys to investigate this particular matter 9 years later. Thank you.
Ralph from the public. Ralph.
Good evening, Ralph Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. Just a procedural question with regard to the first public comment period. The item on the agenda says it's limited to agenda items. When you spoke tonight, you said limited to items on the consent agenda, which is a subset. For example, if we had a question about the hiring of the professionals for the firehouse work, that could have been done then. Nobody had any such questions. But looking ahead, is the intent that it be limited to consent agenda items or any agenda item?
It could be any agenda.
Okay.
Say with the exception of ordinances on second reading.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you going to have a separate?
Right, because they get to a public hearing.
Correct,
Right.
yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else in the public? Yes, sir.
Gary Woodward, 30 Rambling Brook Drive. Just wanted to say, on behalf of HOA, also Commissioner with it, big thank you. Tom's led this effort for a while, and we've had a lot of help from all of you, and we really greatly appreciate it, representing 300-plus families. It also impacts softball and everything as well, and it's a big win for the community. So we thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm not real good at public speaking.
Could you speak your name and address?
My name is Al Black. I own B&G Golf, corner of Homedale, Bedford Road, 50 years. Probably longer than all of you have been in this town.
You gotta keep the mic close.
The problem I have that's going on I've been paying taxes my way for 50 years. Instead of spending money on going after Tom Cotelli and his family, I think we should pay more attention to what we're doing to our town here and the traffic on the roads. We have a really problem with Bethany and Holmdel. Somebody's going to get killed down there. I spoke to traffic. Everybody yeses me to death. Nothing gets done. I know Tom Cotelli, I know Rocco, and I know you. Long before all this garbage is going on. It's enough. Let's work on our town. Let's get things straightened out. What's going on and what's in the newspapers makes Holmdel look terrible. And you all know it. It's enough. You're not going to accomplish anything. He's done nothing wrong. Just think about it. Right, Ron? Rock and I are friends
About what
forever.
you say. Always listen to what you say. Thank you.
We're friends for a long time. Before I knew Tommy, I knew Rock. I don't like what's going on. They were friends. There's a problem here, Greg. There's a problem. That's all I got to say. Anybody wants to see me? Stop the golf. I'm there 7 days a week. I really don't want to be. I'm 72. Have a great night. Good to see you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public? Joe?
Joe Crowley, 1580 Road. I heard one gentleman speak about the cost of the taxpayers' money in terms of the efforts being spent investigating Mr. Cotelli and this gentleman here who just spoke. I think about the time I spent going back before Mayor Bontempo's previous term and the energy and in times the animosity amongst the town people about youth sports. I see this as an opportunity, a unifying opportunity for the committee. I reflect on, I first got put on an ad hoc committee under Greg's previous term as mayor. I was very impressed with Tom's ability to seem to stride the middle when he was mayor between Eric's position and the position of others on the board. And I saw the utter dysfunction of last year and the tremendous animosity, and I will reiterate what this gentleman said. It reflects poorly on us as a community. From what I understand, the stuff with Tom, it's been investigated. It's time to move past this. We have a chance to use the sports fields, which was a divisive issue and has been a unifying issue. We can leverage that and change how we function as a community and as a committee. And I would urge all of you to consider the benefits of moving forward in a constructive fashion on this. Thank you.
May I make a comment? I said I wasn't going to talk, but I am going to talk. I too am sick of the, as someone in the audience said, the brick throwing. But the brick throwing has still got to, I'm willing, I want this to end. Our town needs to come together, but it's got even worse. And I'm going to say it, slanderous worse. Now they're coming after my daughter. You want to come after me? You come after me. Now they're saying my daughter committed voter fraud and voted illegally in the election because she doesn't live in the town. Now, whenever you punch up my daughter's name, it's going to come up for the rest of her life. That's the first thing that comes up. That is unacceptable. If you want to have a problem with me, fine. But now you're bringing my kids into it? Not acceptable. I'm willing to stop this, but it has to stop in both directions. And you don't involve families. I want this to end. Don't involve my family.
Thank you, Committeeman. Anybody else in the public?
Bruce Henderson, 11 Bryce Road, coming as a private citizen, not as a representative of HOA. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Not as a private citizen, not as a representative of HOA. Rocco, totally agree. Both sides, this whole thing has to stop. You know, I can see from my side as a personal, you know, just as a citizen of this town. If I had damage to my house, right, 9 years ago, I came to the town, I settled on a number, right, I got confirmation, I'm a private citizen, and then they said, yeah, we'll give you this much money, right, like, you're owed that much money, right, it doesn't matter how it gets to you, if the insurance pays this much, and the town pays this much, and the insurance pays all of it, or this pays that, right? Doesn't matter, you sign a non-disclosure agreement, I do it all the time, not non-disclosure, consent or lien agreement, right? So basically like, you know, release of lien, sorry. That I sign them all the time. Before I get payment, I sign it saying, hey, if I get all my payment, I won't sue you and I won't go for anything else. So, I mean, it's 9 years ago, right? You know, Councilman Critelli's was owed the money. Right? The only thing that I could see that he did wrong is his second meeting, right after Superstorm Sandy. A lot of stuff going on, right? There was 140 bills on the agenda, and he missed one. And he just voted yes. I mean, everyone here could have done the same thing. You know, last year or the year before, just said, yeah, consent agenda, I voted on it, right? But to go after the guy, ask for the money back, 9 years later, say that he owes the money, he's committed fraud, he's done all these things. I mean, that's some serious stuff, right? So I think it's just got to stop, right? It's got to stop against Tom. Definitely got to stop against Rocco. Can't go after Kathy. Don't go after Greg. Don't go after, you know, anybody in the committee. Just all work together, right? Path moving forward. Don't look behind, right? And on my second note, though, I definitely want to thank everyone because the field improvements are phenomenal. Tom, personally want to thank you because I know we spearheaded last year, October, September, we came around, right? Actually, what, a year and a half ago?
So, a year
right?
and a half, yeah.
We definitely fought a couple times. We like, you know, some ducking and diving, you know, jabs thrown and stuff, but we got it done.
We work together.
Right? We worked together. Kathy, you came on board. We committed. We worked with you. We got everything done. It was awesome. Right, but this all has to stop, right? And today I would say, you know, I would just plead with you, say, hey, look, the guy who got owed the money doesn't really deserve it. We don't need to spend attorney fees going after $9,000 from 9 years ago, right? So, look at that, 3 minutes. Perfect. So that's my 2 cents, right?
Anyone else from the public?
Good evening, everyone. Terrence Wall, Homedale, 170 Looking Court. I'm here with a couple of quick policy items I want to make sure you're aware of. It was great to hear Al Black. It was great to hear West Vegan as well. Their comments are dead on accurate. You appreciate the piece that's in front of you. And remember that the fighting, the infighting, and I spoke to Greg, and a former committeeman on a football field, saying, don't give level 10 attention to a level 1 issue. It makes the town look really, really small. And I will add, we're talking about elected officials and that kind of thing. I think...
Stay close if you know we're not picking up.
I apologize. I think one of your key areas of concern as an observer, I think you're getting really bad legal advice. So I would strongly urge you to think thoroughly about the advice that you were provided, the directions that you're given, and the extent to which the taxpayer dollars were squandered on things that are not worth your time, attention, energy, and urgency, and move beyond and have a great year. And Tom Critelli is a fantastic guy, and I echo all of the thoughts from the folks here. We have a long history in town. Let's get on to good things. So the reason I'm here is to let you know about Assembly Bill number 1137. I'm not here in any official capacity. I'm here as a resident. This bill is a Trojan tax force that affects potentially all the schools in New Jersey. What it can do is eliminate contributions from employees down to as low as 0. So I don't expect everyone to have read this bill, so I have some copies for the clerk. It is a massive, massive tax hit to the public, masquerading as benefit reform. So I want to make sure that it's on the radar as elected officials. I spoke to Senator O'Scanlan today. He had indicated he is, and he approved my describing this comment. He indicated he is not a sponsor because he has concerns about the legislation. I would additionally call on Assemblywoman Damaso and our new fantastic Assemblyman, Jerry Scharfenberger, to learn about this bill and come out publicly and oppose it. What it does, when you read it, you will see it changes the structure of the school employee health plan, and I'll try to work within the 3-minute. That's really more a meeting control thing rather than a hard time, so just if you indulge me a moment. It changes the structure, but the part that's in there that needs to be removed, it reduces the contributions from Chapter 78, which was sunsetted. That could be as high as 35% of the premium, down to as low as 8% of salary. So if you said, put it in a simple example,